floor, you'll just need to make sure that it's not going to slide. So I've put mine at the end of my mat, just so that it's on the mat and it's not going to slide away from you. And then come to sit on the very edge of the chair. And try and have your feet right underneath your knees. And your head over your pelvis. So obviously there's a lot in between. And just sitting tall and maybe noticing, not changing anything, but noticing, are you tipping or like naturally tipping forwards towards your pubic bone? Or are you maybe slumping back towards your tailbone? Sorry, just Monday morning. And like I said, don't change it, but just notice where you are, where you naturally want to be. So most of us, you know, you're in a Pilates class, so we go, oh right, yeah, I need to sit up really tall. But actually, where is that? And is that more towards your pubic bone, or actually still back towards your tailbone? So sometimes we find that we are tipping towards the pubic bone, and actually looking at you guys, most of you are. So just try and let yourself sink back that tiny bit, even sometimes placing your hands on the front of your belly, just allows your pelvis to settle back and find this kind of sense of security, I suppose. Obviously, we're not leaning on the back of the chair, and then just breathing. So as you breathe in, feel the breath come down into your belly, especially if you've got your hand there actually, and feel your sit bones widen. And then as you exhale, just notice that they narrow towards each other, not forcing that, not squeezing it, but just noticing it. And the same again, you breathe in, you feel the breath come all the way down into the depths of your pelvis. And then as you exhale, that breath travels and comes back up and out through the mouth. And you can take a couple more breaths like that. And try and notice, is anything gripping? Is anything really holding? And can you let it go? Or does it, you know, is it needing to be gripping to hold you here? And can you find a spot on your sit bones that perhaps releases it? I'm saying that because I can feel my mid back really wanting to hold. And then slide your hands down onto your knees. And you're going to start to press your hands into your knees to let your pelvis roll back. So we do go back towards your tailbone. And then almost draw the hands towards you as if you're pulling the legs towards you, to tip forward towards your pubic bone. You might feel that your breastbone's lifting. And the same again, press your hands into the knees as you feel the pelvis roll back towards that tailbone. And then coming forwards. So it's our pelvic tilt, but on the chair. And then start to make that much bigger, almost more like a cat stretch, really pressing your hands into your knees. So you feel the front of your hips opening. And then pulling the knees towards you and really looking up towards the ceiling, just seeing where you see to. And the same again, pushing back. And then pulling forwards. Nice. And just start to move with your breath, feeling that rippling through the spine. Just two more. You might feel how you really are rolling over the sit bones. And then again, try and find those sit bones and sit yourself tall. So you can maybe got a little bit more of a sense of what the sit bones are doing here. This time, as you let the pelvis rock back, you want to try and keep your head where it is. So it's a much smaller movement. You can barely even see me moving. And then let the pelvis tip forwards. And again, your head and your shoulders are pretty much staying where they are. So we're now trying to isolate that movement. So it's nothing really changing through the upper body. It's just through the pelvis. And you can maybe feel that your pelvis is rolling over the top of your thigh bones. Yeah, good, good. And with this, still moving with your breath, you might feel the sit bones drawing together and feel this sense of your pelvic floor lifting. And then as you let the pelvis tip forward, you might feel that the pelvic floor is lowering. And then again, find the sit bones. Shuffle the feet back slightly so that they are a little more underneath you, because we're going to come up in like a little squat. And start to slide or tip, actually, sorry, yourself forwards. You will need to be on the edge of the chair, but tip yourself forward. So you end up looking towards the front of your mat or top of your mat. And then let the arms sweep forwards as you push your feet into the floor, and almost with no effort, come up to standing. Ah, thanks, good. Just check that the feet really are underneath your hip sockets here once you're in standing. And think again about where your sit bones are. So the chair, I'm just trying, that's why I kind of wanted a hard chair in some ways, because then you can feel where your sit bones are looking. So are they looking back towards the chair, or are they looking down towards your heels? And can we encourage them to look down towards your heels, so really opening through the front of the hip? And then from here, start to sweep the arms forwards as the knees bend, the hips fold, and start to sit your bottom back towards the chair. Try and find the chair and then come back up to standing. You're inhaling as you come down and exhaling to come up. Yeah. So you might barely touch the chair. We kind of want to if you can. Keep going. I'm just going to take my jumper off so you can see me. Nice. Good. You all look really like you're kind of effortless in the way that you're moving. So we've still got now the pelvis rolling over the top of the thigh bones rolling in your pelvis. Good. Make sure each time you come up, your sit bones are looking towards the floor. So pause once you're up. Feel the pubic bone lifting up towards your breastbone, so you can get the sit bones looking down, and then go again. So it really is about getting the legs right underneath your hips. My kind of tendency is to let my sit bones actually look back towards the chair, but can we get the sit bones looking towards the floor? Yeah, okay. And then sit yourself all the way back down. Good. And then come back onto the sit bones. Pick up your left foot and cross it over the right knee to go into a glute stretch on that side. So you can stay upright, but again, make sure you're not tipping towards that pubic bone. If that's not giving you a deep enough stretch, try and let the whole body tip forwards. So you are now tipping towards your pubic bone. And we're still in one long line, but just to wherever you can find that stretch. And really keep breathing into the depths of your pelvis. And then as you exhale, you can bring yourself back up and then uncross that leg and switch sides. So again, feel that you're on your sit bones at first, and that might be enough. That might be where you stay, or tipping forwards, coming towards that pubic bone. And it might be one side, you go that bit further than the other. Good, and still breathe in. Really picture your breath coming into your hip sockets. Good, and then come all the way back up. Just staying here in seated for a moment. You might need to widen your feet slightly. And you're going to let both knees widen and, have your hands on your knees. Press the knees wider and let your pelvis tip forward. So it will naturally tip forwards. And then still using your hands, you can bring the knees back together and let the pelvis tip back and curl your head into. The knees can come all the way together and really scoop the belly back towards the back of the chair. And then again, let the knees widen. Let the pelvis tip forward. So it will come with the legs. Again, you can look up towards the ceiling if that's comfortable, and then curling all the way back. And start to make it more of a, almost like you're drawing circles with your hands, as if your knees were coming towards you and moving away from you. And then it becomes this real ripple through the spine that includes your head. So let your eyes go with you, or even sometimes closing the eyes lets you kind of move without getting fixated on a point. Yeah, so this is from, I was saying on Friday in the Whitstable class, it's gyrotonic, and actually we'd actually be still, but we'd be circling the arms, and it just gives everything this kind of 3D movement. Good. And it's quite nice when you've been sat at a desk lots. And then the next time you come to be on your sit bones, pause. Take your left hand and reach it up towards the ceiling, and really reach towards the ceiling as you reach across to the right, feeling that left sit bone staying nice and heavy on the chair. And then as you exhale, come all the way back to the center, place that left hand on the left knee and switch arms. So right arm to the ceiling and reaching across. Breathing in. And then as you exhale, bring that arm back down, place it back onto your knee and start to pivot yourself forwards, ready to come up in your squat. So you might find you've shuffled on the chair, you need to come forwards a little. Check that the feet really are right underneath you, and then you can use the arms as they reach forwards to bring yourself up to standing, and reach for the ceiling, feeling those sit bones look towards the floor, and then circle the arms, nod the chin towards your chest and go into your roll down. Yeah, and take your time. If you are feeling it stiff, stop wherever you're stuck and breathe in, and then keep rolling. Or even roll back up, you know, if it's really, really too much. Keep the head really heavy, Mick, and then start to send your feet into the floor as you send your sit bones to look towards the ground to roll your way back up to standing. And keep feeling those sit bones looking towards the ground. So I'm going to keep referencing the sit bones basically today. You can spin yourselves around to face towards the chair. And this time we're going to roll. Same thing. So I need to be a little bit closer actually, but same thing, rolling down towards the chair, placing your hands onto the top of the chair. And then use that to do a cat stretch here. So you let your sit bones look towards the wall behind you, your breastbone lifts towards the back of the chair. And there you might find a hamstring and a calf stretch. And then send your sit bones down towards the ground to look towards the ground as you ripple up through the spine. And do about 4. So your inhale takes you into that extension. There's your stretch through the back of the legs. And then as you exhale, roll the pelvis over the thigh bones. Think about where your sit bones are looking. So they look back behind you in extension and down towards the floor in flexion. Exactly. Nice. And then the next time that your sit bones are looking towards the floor, feel your big toe knuckle pressing into the ground. That doesn't mean that your little toe knuckle lifts, but just in particular, feeling that big toe knuckle pressing into the ground as you keep rolling that pelvis over the top of the thigh bones to roll yourself up to standing. Good. We're going to come around the back of the chair for a moment. Ooh, can you still see me? I'll move up. And use the chair, or I mean, if you don't need it, then don't worry. But you can use the chair to take yourself into, or for balance, to go into a quad stretch. Just mind the shoulders. And try and take the knees towards each other. And then I'm just going to turn this way so you can see me. Then try and send those sit bones to look towards the mat. Rather than pulling the leg, sit bones to the mat. Good. And then releasing and switching sides. I'm just going this way again so you can see me. So the knees are coming towards each other. Don't force them because that will twist what's happening in your upper body, but encouraging them to come together, and then encouraging the sit bones to look towards the floor. And then carefully releasing. And given that we're this side of the chair now, just for a moment, if you've got space, take both hands on top of the chair and walk yourself all the way back. So we go into an inverted V. That's it. And you can, if it's comfortable on your shoulders, let your head hang between your shoulders. Let your breastbone hang between your shoulder blades, like you're really melting down towards the floor. And then breathe in. And as you exhale, start to lift the belly away from the ground. So we start to send those sit bones towards the mat, to look towards the mat, and start to ripple up from there and walk yourself in towards the chair. And let's actually do one more like that here. Walking back. And feel as if your spine is a spring and it's getting longer. So your hands, of course, on the chair are almost reaching over that chair. Your head, the crown of your head is reaching towards the chair. Your sit bones are looking and drawing back towards whatever's behind you. And just use your breath to feel more length. Good. Again, breathe in. And as you exhale, start to lift that belly. Send the feet into the floor. The sit bones look towards the ground and walk your way in. I'm just going to shuffle my chair back so that we go back to where we started, if you had moved it. So that we're in front of the chair. And so here, similar to what we did before, rolling down, you're going to find the chair with the palms of your hands and keep pushing the chair away. So it is still about stretch, but it's about connection through the front of your body. And then from here, start to walk your feet back, keeping your hands on top of the chair to come into that same inverted V. And you'll be a little bit lower this time through the upper body. Exactly. And then bend one knee. So I'm bending my left knee. I'm going to look under my right armpit. And then when I bend my right knee, I look under the left armpit. So you start to get this little bit of rotation through the upper body and through the pelvis. And you can walk through the legs. Exactly. Exactly. And then breathe in the center. And as you exhale, walk your feet back in towards the chair. Pause for a moment to really get the feet underneath you and start to roll that pelvis on top of the legs. And then you can roll up. Again, feel or imagine those sit bones looking towards the mat. Inhale, circles the arms up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, circle the arms back down, nod the chin towards the chest. Again, we're going to find the chair and walk your feet back behind you. Again, into that inverted V. This time, reach your right arm that little bit longer and your ribs will start to shift to the right and then slide it back towards you as you reach the left arm that little bit longer and come back to the center. So we get this little bit of lateral flexion through the ribs. Keep going. And in some ways of this, it doesn't matter if your shoulders are creeping up towards your ears. Let the head hang, Michaela. Yeah. And Denise, yeah, I saw that then. Yeah, good. Good. And then reach both arms long. Breathe in. And as you exhale, walk yourself back towards that chair. Get the feet right underneath you. And roll your way back up. So, I mean, you can always do that on the back of the chair, but it's just getting that bit lower when we start to come towards the front. Pause for a moment, standing tall, really feeling those legs underneath your pelvis. The front of the hips are open. And again, circle the arms up towards the ceiling. You can keep your eyes closed for that for a moment. Don't know what's happened to my words this morning. And then circle the arms back down. Fluttering the eyes open. Just check. We're going to pick one foot up and place it on the chair. So just check that you're kind of not too close. You might find that you have to shuffle as we get into this. Cutting my head off. So here, feel length and really feel the legs underneath you. Press your left foot into the floor. You might want your hands on your hips as you pick up the right foot, as if we were going to balance, and pick it up so high that you can place it onto the chair. So just mind that you're not pushing the chair away from you or that it's not going to slide, but really it's pressing down. So my knee is over my ankle joint. I'm pressing down with my right foot, but I'm not hitching my right hip. Yeah, it is the right heel pressing down into the chair. And you might find that you start to travel forwards ever so slightly and then let that release. And again, push down with that right foot as if you were going to step up onto the chair. And then releasing. And do one more like that. So you can really feel that left hip opening, kind of yawning open. And then release, take your weight back onto that left foot as you pick up the right and place it all the way to the ground. Good. Maybe just wiggle for a moment and then we do the same the other side. So the right foot's really heavy into the floor to allow you to pick up the left and place it onto the chair. And again, just checking in with where your foot is. Good. We press down through the heel. Really feel your right hip opening and then releasing. And you might feel that you kind of slump back into that hip. Same again, feel that sense of length as if you were going to step up there and then releasing. And just one more. We're going to come back to something similar with this. That looks good, you guys. Yeah. And then take your weight back onto that right foot as you pick up the left and place it to the floor. Just check both feet are right underneath you. Circle the arms up towards the ceiling. Keep thinking about those sit bones, looking to the floor beneath you. And then circle the arms back down, hands back onto the hips. Breathe in, and as you exhale, peeling up the right foot again to place it onto the chair. And then from here, you're pressing the right foot down to pick your left heel up. And then slowly releasing. So it is a calf release, really. You might come up slightly quicker than you come down. Really slow your journey down. Yeah, two more. So as if you were going to step up on the chair, really pressing the floor away from you, opening the hips. Imagine your pelvis is being lifted off your legs, even as you lower that heel down. This is the hard bit. And one more. So the heel comes up, you're really opening that left hip and then releasing. Once you're done, and take your time if you're not, step back onto that left leg. Feel that left hip really opening as you pick up the right foot and place that foot onto the floor. Again, wiggle for a moment if you need to, or find the feet. Same on the other side. So peeling that left foot up, placing it onto the chair. Opening through that right hip as you start to press the floor away from you, press the chair away from you, and then slowly come back down. 3 more. Exhale to come up, and then really slow your way down. And you can always play around with where the foot is if you feel that sometimes if you feel that you're twisting. I'm just saying that because I can feel my heel twisting slightly. Good. Last one. Nice. And again, take your weight back over that right foot, pick up the left, and place it onto the floor. Just check again that both feet are right underneath your hip sockets. Maybe now you do feel like your sit bones are looking that bit more towards the floor or towards the floor. Circle the arms up towards the ceiling. Breathing in, really stretch for the ceiling, keeping those sit bones looking to the ground. And then as you exhale, circle the arms back down, nod the chin towards the chest. Bring your hands onto the chair and walk your feet back behind you. So go back into that inverted V. And from here, think of the cat stretches that we were doing before. We start to lift your belly, keep your feet where they are. You start to travel forward. So the stretch will change through the back of your body as you come forward. Your heels will lift away from the floor to bring you into a front support on the chair. So basically a plank on the chair. And stay there and keep feeling your sit bones now looking towards your heels. Keep coming down a bit more of the pelvis, Mara, and actually up a little with the ribs, Denise. And then push. This is where you need the chair secure. Push the chair away to hinge at your hips to come back. So you breathe in, and then as you exhale, start to feel the belly lifting, the heels lifting as you ripple. It's almost your heart going up towards the ceiling, and then really opening the hips. And then heels go towards the floor as you push the hands into the chair to hinge back. Good. One more that way. So the heels lift, the belly lifts, the heart lifts, and you travel forward. That's it. Keep lifting the ribs slightly, Mara, because you're going into your back. And then heels to the floor as you come back. Try and reverse it. So as you come towards the chair, you're actually going into extension. Then your heels will pick up. And then lift the belly as you roll away from the chair. Good, 2 more. You come forward, opening the hips. Keep your feet really strong into the ground. So it's like the heels of your hands and even the heels of your feet could, once you get into it, become your focus. Everything else just follows then. Yeah, nice, Denise, really nice. And then push all the way back. Feel the sit bones, reach for the wall behind you, and then walk your feet in towards the chair. Both feet right underneath your hip sockets. Inhaling, and then as you exhale, start to roll your way up to standing from there. And just feel you might have that bit more length through the lower back. We're just encouraging the sit bones to really look towards the floor. So this time from here, you're going to come into a squat, placing your hands onto the chair, and then push the floor away to come back up. So just bending the knees, hands onto the chair, and coming up. Yeah. So those sit bones look towards the opposite end of your mat. And then the next time you come down, keep your left foot where it is and step the right foot back. So we go into a lunge. And think about the position that you were actually just in that plank. The back heel is reaching away, the right hip is opening, and the crown of your head is reaching over the top of the chair. And then step that foot back in, bend the knees, and come all the way up. Yeah, so Mara, come a bit closer to your chair. I think this will work. You almost want the knees, like, they could even touch the front of the chair. Let's say that they do. And then keep that front knee touching the chair as you move. That's it, Michaela. That's it, Denise, yeah. So you bend, the knees come to the chair, you step one foot back, you step it back in, you're touching that chair, and then as you stand, you come away from it. Good, couple more. Nice. Good. Maybe the next time that your right foot goes back, stay in that lunge and then lower your back knee to the ground. Yep, and just mind what's happening in your toes behind you. So are they twisting your heel out, maybe in, or can you spread the toes to keep them even? And then feel your tailbone reaching for the chair. And if that is no good on the knee, you can always come back. But I think you guys are possibly okay. So feel your tailbone reaching for the chair. And then send the back heel away from you. And then lower back down. So it's the back heel and the hamstring that draw you up. It's the glute too, but it's everything. Yeah, just mind where your eye gaze is going to knee. So maybe look more into like the back of the chair, just to find length in your neck. That's it, Mara, that's it. Good. Last one. And then step that back foot in and switch sides. So find, sometimes you have to find where your back foot needs to be to give you space, and then bending that leg and push away. So this is recreating the reformer where you'd push back against the springs. So about 5 or 6. I think we did about 6 the other side. Try and keep the front knee against the chair if you can, Mara. Yeah, that's better. That's it. It just kind of tells you that you're, well, in the right place, but also you've got something not to lean on, but to focus on. That's it. Perfect. Good. And then when you've done those 6, bring that knee to the floor. Bring both knees to the floor and sit back towards your heels. You might need to widen the knees if you want to, but having the hands higher on the chair will give you a little bit more extension through the upper back. If it's really no good on the shoulders, then go on the floor instead. Exactly. And then from there, step one hand to the ground and then the other, and walk your hands in towards you to roll up. Swing the legs around in front. Again, just make sure that the chair is on your mat. And then just make sure you've got a towel nearby. We'll use it in a moment. And we're going to come to lay and have your calves on top of the chair, so that you can, so that you can really let your legs go. And they're supported by the chair. So your feet might be on the back, that's fine, but just wherever you feel you can really let your legs let go. And that might mean that they turn out. Perfect in some ways. Good. And then just placing your hands in the front of your pelvis, maybe letting your breath slow after what we were just doing. And feeling yourself sink. You're welcome to close the eyes here, but each time you exhale, feel the front body sink into the back body. And you're not making that happen. It is just the breath allowing it to happen. And maybe noticing what parts of your spine are in contact with the mat. Sometimes once we've got the legs here, it actually lets your lower back sink towards the floor. Not necessarily on the floor, but towards the floor. And you might get this real sense of letting go through your lower back. Good. And then actually where all of you are, just looking at you guys on the screen, if your knees haven't gone into turnout, let them, and have the feet together. So it's not necessarily the soles of the feet. Mine's more like my big toe knuckle and my heel bone just in contact with each other. And imagine that you've got a ball between your inner thighs. And as you exhale, you're going to start to squeeze into that ball and go slow as you start to feel the inner thighs working, just enough to feel your pelvis get heavy onto the floor, as if you're kind of pushing back into the ground, and then slowly releasing. So it's barely a movement, it's more of a feeling. And again, as you exhale, imagine you're starting to press into that ball. Some of you have done this with like the circle. And then allowing that to release. And just 2 more. So it creates this tiny, tiny rotation through the thigh bones. They might start to come towards each other, but just that little bit. And then releasing. Exactly. And each time you release, make sure you find that moment of really melting the legs. They're so heavy on that chair. And then one last time, as if the legs were coming towards each other. And then release from there. Good. Keep the knees in turn now as you bring one foot onto the edge of the chair and then the other. And you might be able to take the soles of the feet together, or if not, still just like the insides, and let your knees splay open. So really let them drop open. And just take a couple of breaths here. Good. And then slowly draw the knees towards one another. So again, like we had an even bigger beach ball this time that you're coming in towards, so that the soles of your feet come onto the chair. And then separate the feet and the knees to hip width apart. So I'm slightly close to my chair now because my thigh bones aren't vertical. So I'm going to wiggle back, or you might find that you need to wiggle in. But we really, and this is where I can see myself quite clearly on the screen, but we want, the knees over the hips. And your feet are really cupping around that chair. So it gets the soles of the feet working too. So imagine that you really are rounding those feet around the edge of your chair, and then start to roll your pelvis back. So flattening the lower back in towards the floor. And then as you inhale, releasing. And notice what the feet want to do as you keep doing that. So do they want to turn inwards? Just mind that they don't. That's not quite the best way to put that, but keeping the feet in parallel, yes. But you can feel the arches working. Maybe notice if that gives you more or less movement in your lower back. You know, you might try it just pushing your heels into the chair. And I feel like I'm just pushing the chair away. Whereas when we cup around the edge of the chair, you might feel that you're pressing down into the chair. And that actually changes the quality of your breath and what's happening through your mid back. Good. And then if and when you feel ready, start to peel your way up towards, not necessarily to, your shoulder blades. So this is where you'll want to make sure that that chair is not sliding. And then melt the spine all the way back down. As you go again, feel the tailbone roll towards the pubic bone. You might even need the chair like against the wall if it does keep moving, just so it's not going to slide away from you. Sorry, the tailbone towards the pubic bone towards the breastbone. So you really get that scoop of the abdominals before you come up any higher. And then melting your way back down. And you're going to do 2 more at your own pace. Yeah. And so the hamstrings will be working. Let them work, because that's what's going to give you that scooping. Yeah, this is quite a nice one for the lower back. Michaela, it's just kind of getting into it first. Yeah. Good. Maybe one for luck. I think everyone's moving different speeds. Feel those sit bones. Look towards the back of your knees. So it might give you cramp. Hopefully not. But if it does, just hamstring stretch. Okay, good. And then the next time you come down, that's really nice, Denise. Hug the knees in towards you, in towards your chest. In fact, given that we've got the towel, let's use it for a brief hamstring stretch. So I'm not even going to unfold mine. I'm just going to take it over the sole of my foot, and it's quite short actually, so it's going to give me a strong hamstring stretch. Yours might be, folded differently, but just something to get that strong hamstring stretch. And then the foot sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. My computer's telling me something. I don't know what. The foot that's on the chair, take it down to the floor. See, I think we can perhaps get there, just to slide that leg under the chair. And feel the back of that leg reaching for the floor. So I'm just here, Michaela, yeah. Good, and you're welcome to soften and lengthen through that knee a few times. Good. And then start to slide. I've got my left leg long, so slide the left leg back in towards you, hopefully past the chair. You can switch in the towel. Yeah, exactly. You've all got it. And place the right foot on the chair for a moment at first, just so we do the same this side. So you can start to lengthen and bend through that left side. And then just whenever you feel ready, take the right foot to the floor. I can't quite get my knee under the chair, I have to turn it, but that works. And then reaching that right heel away. Feel the back of that right leg coming towards the ground, really opening that right hip. Good, and then as you exhale, bring that leg back in and bend the left one. Let's take the towel just to the side for a moment. I want to get it behind your back in a second. Maybe feet to the floor. Actually, this depends for each of you. You can hug the knees in, and you might feel that you can rock yourself up to sitting. Just mind the chair, of course, to come up. Yeah. I'm going to need the chair there. And we'll have the towel so that it's going to it's going to sit behind your bra strap. So where I am here, and roll myself back, so just so that it's enough to take me into extension. In fact, I could roll mine up a little bit more. It just keeps unraveling today. There we go. So it's behind my bra strap at the base of my shoulder blades. I've got the knees bent, the feet flat on the floor, and then allow yourself to open over that towel. Good. And then, so long as it feels comfortable for you, slide one leg long and then the other, so that they're reaching under that chair. And sometimes just even the thought or the visualization of the legs going under the chair actually helps open your hips a little bit more too. So just let the legs be really, really heavy. If it's no good on your lower back, of course, bend the knees. But if you can, stick with them long. And let your elbows start to drop out towards the floor. So you might feel that your ribs lift up towards the ceiling even more. So you're arching through your back that little bit more. And then as you exhale, start to roll the elbows up towards the ceiling. Float the head away from the mat and start to curl forward so you end up looking towards your toes. Take a little breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly lengthening all the way back down. Again, let the elbows open. As you exhale, feel the elbows roll towards the ceiling, and then your head and shoulders start to curl forwards. And they're only curling forwards because your ribs are pushing back into that towel. Your head is so heavy in your hands, and then releasing. Good. Remember, keep going with this, but remember you can shuffle in case that towel is just in a spot that doesn't quite work for you. Nice. And so last week we were working on the roll up. This is still working on your roll up. The legs are long and we're really open through your hips. And as you curl forwards, try and notice, do your hips want to grip? Do they want to pull your pelvis back, like into the floor? Or can you let your legs really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like we're trying to detach your legs from your body, from your pelvis. So even as you curl forward, you can look at what they're wanting to do and use your breath in this one. It really is a breath, the roll up is a breath exercise. Nice. Good. And again, you can shuffle and find another point for that towel. Sometimes it's good to do this because it is extension at different junctions of your vertebrae. Good. And just check as you're moving for these last couple that you're not squeezing your quads. You're not really working the quads. We're not working the legs at all. They have fallen off. Nice, Mara. Really nice. Good. And then just let yourself open back over the towel when you finish the one that you're on. You can always let the arms come out to the side. If it really is too uncomfortable on your towel, then take it away. But if you can stay there and just breathe, perfect. So you want it to feel like your ribs are lifting up towards the ceiling. So we're always saying, don't flare your ribs. But actually, this is flaring your ribs. But then can you let everything around that soften, including your legs? So it might even feel like just at the base of your rib cage, it might feel like a bit of a stretch as you're breathing in, or like you can't breathe in, like your breath's kind of getting stuck. So it is getting stuck. It's getting stuck at your diaphragm's not moving, which means the pelvic floor's not moving, which means everything's not moving. So try and encourage that to soften, encourage it to move with the breath. Good. This really does depend on giving you the option. If we circle your arms and place the hands behind your head. Maybe your breath has changed and you can get that longer breath all the way into the depths of your pelvis. As you exhale, you're going to start to float the elbows, curl the head and shoulders forwards to look towards your feet. And again, there might be a slightly different quality here. You're not gripping through the hips. I'm placing my hand on my left one because it wants to pull in towards me, pulls me into rotation. And then from here, reach your arms forwards, push them towards the floor and see if you can roll up. If not, roll to your side. Yeah, I'm just giving the option. So, okay, good. And take the towel away. In fact, let's come over onto your hands and knees and have your feet tucked under the chair. So your bottom kind of can come back to the chair. In fact, have your, sorry, my chair's come off the mat. Have your bottom touching the chair. Knees right underneath the hips. Yeah, exactly. So it's a point of reference. You're not going to push against it, but just a point of reference for those sit bones. So at first, your sit bones are looking towards the back of your chair. And then let them go towards the top of your chair to allow yourself to go into extension. And then as you exhale, start to round through your lower back. So you feel the sit bones sliding over the lip of that chair and down towards the floor. Imagine that you are narrowing your mat. It's like you're trying to squeeze the mat smaller, thinner, and then go back the other way and you're spreading the mat wider as you roll that pelvis and you feel the sit bones look up. Same again. The sit bones start to slide down the lip of the chair. Yeah, it slightly depends on the height of the chair, of course, or the length of your legs. Yeah, exactly. Good. 2 more. Nice. And it just changes, like we're so tuned into your cat stretch, but it just changes the focus of what we're doing. Good. From here, I need to re-find my chair. From here, start to round up into your cat stretch, really curling as if you were kind of sitting yourself back towards the chair. So don't push against it, but keep imagining that you are sitting back into that chair, and you might feel that opening for your lower back changes and then ripple back the other way. Crawl your knees forwards, but keep your hands where they are and tuck your toes under and find a bit of a stretch through the toes. So I tend to always come back and forwards at first to get my toes in the right place. And then from there, push your hands into the floor, your bottom towards the ceiling, and then keep pushing back. So hopefully your calves will come against the chair. You might have to step the feet forwards a little so that from here, we're ready to roll up with that same sense of your sit bones looking to the chair as you roll. Just about touching the chair as I come up. And then from there, sweep your arms forward to sit yourself all the way back down onto that chair. And it should feel easy in some ways without collapsing. I'm just going to turn this way for a moment so you can see me front on. So we're on the lip of the chair again, feet underneath your knees, and you're going to open both arms out to the sides and feel as you do, in fact, bring them back down for a moment. As you float the arms up, you want to feel your sit bones get heavier into the chair. And then as you push the arms down, you might feel that you kind of become lighter on your sit bones. Yeah, so as if you were in water, we push up and that pushes your sit bones down into the chair, and then bring the arms down and you'll feel that you grow taller. So the next time the arms come out to the sides, have the palms facing forwards, and you're going to inhale as you turn. If you haven't got space, you can always go hands behind your heads, but inhale as you turn. So my right ribs are going back, my left ribs are going forwards, and then exhale to come back to the center. And the same the other way. Inhale to turn, and exhale to come back. So it's like our spine twists that we sometimes do sat on the floor, or classically is sat on the floor. And just make sure, this might depend what chair you're on, make sure that you're not tipping forwards towards that pubic bone. So sit back a little bit more, so that we'll let go of your hips, even more, even more, even more, heavier in your tailbone. There, yes, and then go, try it there. It kind of feels, it starts to feel like you're actually leaning back, but it should switch off your legs. The legs have still fallen off, yeah. It's sometimes a hard one to get, but you know when you're in the right place because it feels like you don't, the legs are uninvolved. Yeah. Okay. And then come back to the center again, let the arms come back down to the sides. Good. Again, feel the sit bones really heavy on that chair. This time, taking your right arm up towards the ceiling. And then start to reach up and over so that left hand can reach towards the floor, but there is no gripping going on in your hips. So the moment you feel like your hips have to hold on, your glutes hold on, stop and come back a little, and then come back to the center and let that left arm float and keep reaching, Keep the sit bone nice and heavy into the chair. Inhale there. And then exhale all the way back. Both arms down. This time, take both arms out to the sides again. We're going to inhale into your right lung to turn. So the left lung comes back. And then dive that front hand down towards the ankle joint. And you can maybe go across the knee without letting the knee come in. Try and reach across the knee so it's your saw. And the back arm is reaching towards the wall behind you. And then as you exhale, draw the belly back. Go slow. Think about squeezing the back hand down towards the ground like it was a weight. And then come back to the center. Rotate first to the other side. Don't let the knees move. Sometimes this is good to have something between your knees if you can feel that they want to. And then diving forwards. And think of the back hand really reaching away. Exactly. And then squeeze the back hand down to the ground to bring you up and back to the center. One more each side. So this time have a little more focus on what's happening for your pelvis. So you're not shifting, you're not sliding on that chair. Your pelvis stays, I don't want to say glued, but glued-ish to the sit bones. And one more to the other side. Inhale to rotate. Exhale to dive your way forwards. And then coming back up. Come back to the center, let the arms come down by your sides because they might be a bit achy. Wiggle your feet back so that you can get them underneath you in order to come up in your squat. So feel the big toe knuckle, the little toe knuckle, and the heel pressing into the floor. And this time, really think about the backs of your legs working. So as you sweep your arms forwards, you start to pivot forwards. And it's the sit bones drawing together to bring yourself up. Maybe just make sure that the feet really are underneath your hip sockets and close your eyes for a moment and see how that feels. So those sit bones really are looking towards the ground to give us length. That looks good, all of you. Open your eyes and just finish with a roll down, rolling your way to the mat, just minding that nothing's gripping, nothing's really squeezing. That's it. And then remember, as you roll up, it's the pelvis rolling over the legs and the spine restacking. Yeah, let the head go even more, Michaela, if you can. No. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's in your neck. Good. Okay. You are all done.